Hi YouTube, Tim Unkert here. In this video, we are going to look at associations between categorical variables. Let's look at an example here. So we have a group of 100 people who were asked what type of vehicle they prefer to drive. The results were then summarized in this two-way frequency table that we have right here. So we have a vehicle type of a pickup truck or sports car, and then we have basically the sex, either female or male. And then we have the totals of each. Note there's less males than females in this particular survey, and we have a total of 100 people here. So let's first label the explanatory variable in the columns. That's known in the columns, so that's the sex of the person, whether it be male or female. And then the response variable is going to be the vehicle type. Okay, so now when we compare these, we can't just compare straight across the rows because there's a different amount of males than females. So it helps us if we create a table where we have percentages where we can compare. So this next part here reads, complete a two-way relative frequency table with percentages relative to the column totals. So to get, say, males who prefer pickup trucks, we have 27 males here out of 40 total that prefer pickup trucks. So to figure out the percent, we do 27 divided by 40, and then we multiply that number by 100. And let's go over to Desmos and do that. So we'll do 27 divided by 40, and we'll multiply by 100, and we get 67.5. Okay, so 67.5%. Okay, if we want to look at females who prefer pickup trucks, to get that percentage, we got to do 22 out of 60 because there's more females in the survey. So we're going to do 22 out of 60. And we're going to take that number and multiply by 100. So let's do that in Desmos. So we'll do 22 divided by 60 times 100. So 22 out of 60 times 100 is 36.7. We'll round to the nearest tenth. So 36.7%. All right, now we'll do a different color here. Let's do green. We'll do males who prefer a sports car. So that would be 13 out of 40 times 100. We can also just do 100 minus 67.5. So either way, so 13 out of 40 times 100, we get 32.5%. Okay, and let's do I'm going to say orange here. So we want to also look at females who prefer the sports car. So it's going to be 38 out of 60 times 100. And if we took 100 and we subtracted 37.6, we should get 63.3. Let's just confirm that with Desmos. And we do get 63.3%. All right, let's change this back to just regular blue here. And let's keep going. So looking at this for our purposes, if the percentage is over 5%, this is, it could be different depending on the test you're taking, but we're going to say 5% is good. Over a 5% difference between the rows, we will identify an association. So the percentage of males preferring to drive pickup trucks, that's the 67.5%. Is significant I can't talk, is significantly higher than females preferring to drive pickup trucks. That's 36.7%. We could have done the bottom two, and then we would have, males preferring to drive sports cars. 32.5% is significantly lower than females preferring to drive sports cars, which is 63.3%. So we picked the upper row here, but you could have done the bottom row. Since it's much larger than 5%, this data suggests there could be an association between vehicle preference and sex. It should be noted for this example, I did just make up these numbers just to illustrate an association between categorical variables. Okay, let's take a look at another example. All right, in this example, we're looking at a group of 200 people who were surveyed on their favorite type of caffeinated drink. The data is recorded in the table below. So we have either an energy drink or coffee, and whether the person was a student or non-student. And you should note that we have less non-students than students. So there's a little difference there, and we want to figure out the percentages down here. Our explanatory variable, let's say that's student status, whether they're a student or not. So we'll just abbreviate that, student status. And our response variable is going to be the type of caffeinated drink. So we'll just call that CD. Okay, so we want to figure out the column percentages here. So if I take 56 here, and I divide by 118 and multiply that amount by 100, I'll get my percent here. So 56 divided by 118 times 100. Let's bring up Desmos. So 56 divided by 118 times 100, we'll call that 47.5. So just check that, 47.5%. And then to figure out the coffee percentage, we'll take 100 and we'll subtract 47.5. And that'll give us 52.5%. Okay, to figure out the percentage of non-students who prefer energy drinks, we'll take 89 and divide by 200. And multiply that by 100. And so 89 divided by 200 times 100, we get 44.5. So 44.5%. And if we take 100 and we subtract 44.5%, we're going to get 55.5%. So now we could fill this out, but if we're looking at this, the difference between 47.5% and 44.5% is 3%. So there's a 3% difference with the energy drink and a 3% difference with the coffee. So I'm going to say there's not really an association here. We wanted to consider 5% or greater. There's not really an association here between whether um, that a type of person has a caffeinated drink preference. So you couldn't say, oh, you're a student, so you're more likely to prefer an energy drink, or you're a non-student, you're more likely to prefer coffee. There's really not enough there to claim an association. So we're not going to fill this part out, and we're going to just say there's no association. Now, again, we're using a 5% to 5% or greater to determine if there is an association. Someone might come to you and say, well, if it's 2% or greater. And then in this case, we could say, oh, there's a little association. But in our case, we're using 5%. So we're going to say there's no real association here. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, could you please like and subscribe? I would appreciate it greatly. Thank you.